Welcome to Vigorous PEDs. I'm Coach Steve. Let's talk about Primobolan and if it's a suitable aromatase inhibitor or not. I'm sure most of you guys already seen the video from Derek, More Plates, More Dates, about my estrogen dropping by half over the last 2 months after adding Primobolan to my, generous TRT dose. So let's go back 2 months to 28th of August, where I checked my serum estrogen levels. At that time, I was running 250 milligrams of testosterone enanthate per week, split over 2 injections. I know you guys are going to ask me about this, so 125 milligrams on Monday, 125 milligrams on Friday, 250 milligrams total per week. At that time, I wasn't using any traditional aromatase inhibitor medication, but instead I was using 100 milligrams of dinyl methane and 500 milligrams of calcium diglucarate twice per day, because testosterone usually converts into estradiol. But you have 3 different estrogens in the body. Well, actually 4, but the 4th one is not really present in men. It's only present during pregnancy. So there's 3 different estrogens in men: estrone, estradiol, and estrol. Testosterone converts into estradiol, and dinyl methane helps to regulate the balance between the 3 estrogens, while calcium diglucarate just promotes the detoxification of all the estrogens and phytoestrogens, which you could find in plant sources like soy, beer, almonds, flax seeds, that kind of stuff. Now, besides my very generous dose of testosterone replacement, I added in 25 milligrams of DHEA and 10 milligrams of pregnenolone. Usually that brings me to, the middle top of the reference range on DHEA, DHEA sulfate, pregnenolone sulfate. Helps with, cognition, energy levels, sense of well-being, and a little bit of a libido and sex drive. Because a normal hypothalamus, pituitary, testes, or adrenal axis, it responds to LH and FSH. You guys probably already know this, but let me just remind you guys. The LH and FSH promotes testosterone production in the testicles, right? But it also promotes DHEA and pregnenolone production in the adrenal glands. So when you downregulate your HPTA or HPTAA, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis, DHEA production and pregnenolone production goes down. Now, luckily, the adrenals don't require LH to produce DHEA and pregnenolone. You'll see on your blood work that DHEA sulfate, it's the most common one that's tested, is like the bottom middle of the reference range, and then free DHEA levels, pregnenolone sulfate levels are also to the middle of the bottom of the range. But when you supplement them in, you get them to the middle top of the reference range, and, your quality of life improves. But these hormones also convert into estrogen. So by taking DHEA and pregnenolone, naturally, your serum estradiol levels are going to be a little bit higher. So in that protocol, 250 milligrams of test per week, 25 milligrams of DHEA and 10 milligrams of pregnenolone per day, without medicinal aromatase inhibitors, but using 200 milligrams of dinyl methane and 1,000 milligrams of calcium diglucarate per day. My serum estrogen levels with 72.6, let's say 73 picograms per milliliter, which is almost double out of the reference range. But my testosterone is also out of the reference range. So when you look at the ratio between testosterone and estrogen, my sex drive and libido is amazing. My sense of well-being and, overall cognition is amazing thanks to the DHEA and pregnenolone in this protocol. But serum estradiol is not high enough to cause, terrible side effects like symptoms of gynecomastia, acne, water retention, increased blood pressure as a result of the increased water retention. So 75 picograms per milliliter, between 55 to 75 picograms per milliliter, that's the sweet spot for me on hormone replacement, generous hormone replacement for bodybuilders. Let's just, categorize it into a super HRT, for bodybuilders, not for the general population. So in that sense, everything was sweet. My blood work was perfect. I decided to add in 200 milligrams of Primobolan on top and start my cycle. So I've been doing that for 2.5 months, let's say 2.5 months. And then on October 4th, I did my blood work again to see how it was going. Now, everything was fine. My HDL came down a little bit, obviously, because you're adding another DHT-based compound to your protocol. So your HDL goes down a little bit. Didn't go down significantly. So it went down from 52 on HRT to 40, 45, 40, around 40, which is on some of the reference ranges is still acceptable. But some of the newer reference ranges, HDL should be over 60, so it wasn't dramatic change. So even though I increased my DHEA and pregnenolone double, because I saw that my DHEA sulfate was a little bit lower than I wanted it to be, and my pregnenolone sulfate and free DHEA and free pregnenolone were all a little bit lower than I wanted it to be. So besides the 200 milligrams of Primobolan that I increased DHEA to 50 milligrams and pregnenolone to 25 milligrams because, there's no 20 milligram of pregnenolone tablets, and I'd like to keep it a little bit easy. So I went from a generous hormone replacement to a baby cycle, let's call it that, 250 tests, 200 Primo, 50 milligrams of DHEA, and 25 milligrams of pregnenolone. Diethylmethane and calcium D-glucarate stayed the same, so I didn't willingly try to reduce my estrogen conversion. I felt that, a little bit of DHEA and pregnenolone on top wouldn't cause a significant spike in my serum estrogen levels. Now, on the contrary, actually my serum estradiol reduced by half to 38.4 picograms per milliliter, which is a significant drop considering I added in more aromatizable compounds on top of my hormone replacement. So the only thing that really changed was adding 200 milligrams of Primobolan per week on top of my hormone replacement therapy dose. Now, I saw in Derek's video in the comment fields multiple questions. Oh, maybe his Primobolan is boldenone, or maybe his Primobolan is masterone, or maybe his Primobolan is actually something else. Okay, I use only pharmaceutical grade, and I make 100% sure that whatever I use is 100% pharmaceutical grade before I inject it in my body. Yeah, that's my handicap. I only want pharmaceutical grade in my body. So I can't show it to you guys because Primobolan is not FDA approved here in Thailand, but it is available. And when I check with some of my clients in Istanbul, Turkey, and I, verify with them if my Primobolan is real, because they can just walk into the pharmacy and buy Primobolan for, pennies on the dollar. It's really, really cheap over there. Unfortunately, it's not cheap over here, but I'm willing to pay a little bit extra for farm grade. It's legit. It's not something I'm worried about. The oil is thick. The ampules look legit. Everything. It's 100% real pharmaceutical Primobolan. Yeah. I'm paying an arm and a leg to get it. I don't mind. It's real, and it's only 200 milligrams per week, so it's not that much of an extra expense. So in that sense, it's 100% farm grade. It's not counterfeit boldenone or masterone or injectable letrozole. Yeah, real Primo. So my estrogen after 2 months on 200 milligrams of Primobolan dropped to almost half. I didn't notice a dramatic effect. My sex drive was still okay. Maybe that's because I increased the DHEA and pregnenolone. Skin texture, thinness, water retention is all pretty much the same. And half the serum estradiol level is, quite a dramatic change by adding a little bit of Primo. So in the meantime, between generous HRT and a baby cycle, my body fat levels didn't really go down. I think in the first month they increased a little bit because I was still bulking. And then, after reaching 255 pounds, I decided to call it quits because I was sweating all day and snoring up a storm. So I went right back into keto and dropped a significant amount of weight. So now I'm hovering around 240, maybe 245 on a good day. So I dropped 10 pounds. I don't think my body fat levels changed so much. So I expect the same amount of aromatase activity in the body fat, so the same amount of conversion. But what I do suspect is that the Primobolan is competing for these aromatase enzyme. And it's the same thing that Derek said, and we came to the same conclusion when we discussed it, privately before he made the video, is that DHT-based compounds, like a masterone, like a Primobolan, like a Winstrol, real DHT converted from testosterone into DHT, dihydrotestosterone. And even one of the metabolites of tamoxifen has, anti-estrogenic effects by temporarily blocking the aromatase enzyme. And I know all of this because I'm writing a very lengthy estrogen management ebook, which is almost done. So it'll be on my website for you guys to, dive into if you're interested in that. But what I think is that Primobolan goes into the aromatase enzyme, just like masterone, just like those boldenone metabolites, just like Winstrol or Anavar or, dihydrotestosterone coming from testosterone itself. They just block the aromatase enzyme temporarily and reduce estrogen concentrations, over time. So over 2 months, my estrogen dropped in half. Now, when I saw that blood work, and I like my serum estrogen levels around 55, 75, it's my sweet spot. First thing I thought, I need to up my test. This is the curse of bodybuilding. I saw that blood work, and I think, why is my estrogen so low? Okay, you come to the conclusion that Primobolan is the one causing it. DHEA and pregnenolone already went up, so I should, in the back of my head, I figured my estrogen is going to be the same or a little bit higher. It was not the case. So how are you going to get more aromatase activity or more estrogen conversion is by upping the test, right? But I like that 1-to-1 ratio of testosterone to Primo. So 250 test, 250 Primo, right? But I don't want to inject half an ampoule Primo on top. So 200 Primo it is. And my next step would have been 300 Primo, resulting in more estrogen reduction, right? Now, let's calculate that. Okay, 200 Primo reduces it by half, adding another 100 milligrams on top. My serum estradiol levels would probably be like 25 picograms per milliliter, just an estimate. So going forward, there's a couple ways I can bring my estrogen levels back up. I can remove the dinyl methane and calcium diglucarate, prevent the metabolization and detoxification of estrogens and phytoestrogens. I could still up the testosterone dose, which is not something I want, because honestly, on 250 test and 200 Primo, I'm big enough. And I don't want to be any bigger than 250 pounds. I'm training at an all-time high capacity. The weights that I'm moving are all-time high, even in a slight caloric deficit. So I don't want to up the dose. I'm happy with 250 test and 200 Primo. I would increase it to 300 Primo, maybe at one point to get a little bit more cosmetic effect and slightly more anabolism. But that would reduce my serum estradiol levels, right? Given the fact that it's reduced by half. So I don't want it to end up at 25 picograms per milliliter. So first thing I'm going to do, keep this protocol the same, but take dinyl methane and calcium diglucarate out. Or that would be my first step to, attempt to bring my serum estradiol levels up a little bit. And then maybe after 4 weeks, check my serum estradiol levels again, see if it's increasing. Maybe check again 4 weeks later before making adjustments to the testosterone and Primobolan. I know it's a very lengthy and slow approach, but hey, you want to take it by step and see which supplements or which PEDs make which adjustments to your blood work results. Yeah. Now that's not going to happen because I'm actually going to PCT and go off cycle for a while, but we'll save that story for a different video. It's going to be interesting though. After 8 years of blasting and cruising, I'm going to do my third PCT. So you guys can all watch that on this YouTube channel. I'll try to make daily videos again. I just got super busy with all the client requests, which is very, very surprising to me, but somehow everybody wants to work with me. So, clients come first and YouTube comes second. But luckily I've gone through all the protocols and all the programs in the last few weeks. I spent all my free time writing ebooks. I'll be ready to launch 5 of them. Post-cycle therapy, hormone replacement, cruising and bridging, a bioidentical hormone cycle for the off season. So that's testosterone, growth hormone, insulin, IGF-1, an ebook about estrogen, progesterone, progestogenic steroids, and prolactin. So that encompasses everything that you need to know about controlling these side effects and preventing something like gynecomastia or erectile dysfunction. And an ebook about growth hormone secretagogues, and IGF-1. I feel that they all fall into the same category. So that's going to be a single ebook. And then from that point on, I'll focus on ebooks about insulin, trembolone, Winstrol, all the performance enhancers. That's phase 1. Basically everything that has to do with performance enhancers. Phase 2 will be organ health. And then the last phase will probably be nutrition. I already uploaded everything I know about training to my website, VigorousSteve.com. So there's several articles you can read for free, which are quite in depth, about upper body, lower body splits, push-pull legs, progressive overload, 4-day splits, 5-day splits, 6-day splits, whatever split you prefer. There's an article for it, or at least aggregated into one article. And there's also many other articles to read, like, the anabolic to androgenic ratio of steroids, because it's a little bit difficult to find. And most of these lists are not complete. So I uploaded the entire list to my website. Many other articles to read, VigorousSteve.com. Bookmark that for future reference. If you require personalized advice, you can find the rates and services on my website as well. Contact me through the contact form or send me an email, vigorous.steve@gmail.com. Thanks everybody who sent me messages the last couple of weeks wondering where I went. I'm right here. Don't worry. But now I'm going to be back and try my best to upload videos to YouTube every day from this point onwards. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out. And I'll see you in the next video. And let me give you a front double bicep so you know I still got it. See you in the next one.